Well, we had a whole lot of fun to watch today from the outside looking in. We're going to talk about the wild, wild day of the first round of the wild card round and why I love it. We also are going to talk about the comments made at the final media availability for Mike Hazen and Torey Lovullo. All of this in just a little bit. Don't you go anywhere. Another edition of the PHNX Dbacks podcast, live from Studio K, presented by our friends in Circle K. We are here in beautiful downtown Phoenix, Arizona. I am your mayor of PHNX, occasionally known as a guy that definitely has FOMO about not being in the playoffs. I also got the one, the only Damon dog on the ones and twos over there behind the Mac. And we'll have our one, the only Jesse Friedman joining us here shortly. But of course, just want to let you guys know this show is brought to you by our friends, as always, by Bet365 Game Time. Go download the Bet365 app, use our code of PHNX365 when you sign up. Follow a few easy steps, get yourself some bonus bets over there. And then at Game Time, of course, you can use our code of PHNX off your first purchase, and you'll get $20 off those already low last-minute ticket deals. Welcome into you all. First, I got to give a shout out to my guy. Is it Evan Boudreau? Welcome in, Evan. Thank you for becoming a Supporters Club member. If you guys are not a member of the Supporters Club, make sure to join us. It's a lot of fun. The emojis are incredible. You get a badge next to your name, and more importantly, you have a special place in my heart. Damon, meanwhile, compiles a list of all of you and plans to send Christmas cards out. So I'm committing him to something he absolutely doesn't want.
I also have a list of top avatars, and Evan is number one.
Yeah,
new number one.
I mean, Damon shouts things that Anakin Skywalker said. All over. Every
that's
single
how
day
that's how I react to Ohtani home runs. Actually,
that's
Tarik.
very true. I saw him do it twice tonight. But welcome into you all. Glad to have you guys here, and of course, like I said, glad to have our guy from Snakes territory, the one, the only Thunderstick Jesse Friedman here to talk about my favorite day, Jesse. I think it's my favorite day. That might just be because it's the start of the playoffs. It might just be because baseball, despite its 162 game season, can come all down to this for some of these teams, right? No matter how good of a season they had, they are here battling in the wild card round. And it feels like anything can happen in these 3-game series, depending on who's hot and who's not. But it's my favorite day of the postseason.
Well, everybody loves October baseball, Derek, except it's not October yet somehow.
It's my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, Scotty, by the way. September 30th, you're absolutely right. And that is not something that, again, we're necessarily used to seeing the playoffs here in, but baseball's moving up earlier and earlier. And yes, Jesse is repping the Suns because they need all the help they can get, for sure, as does the Diamondbacks. I'm not going to act like they're not in desperate need of help. And I have the answer, Jesse, because the first game of the day was the Tigers beating the Guardians by a score of 2-1. Tarik Skubal was incredible, quite possibly the best start of his career. He had a career-high 14 strikeouts in this game. He also broke a camera with a 100-mile-per-hour fastball that was fouled off. And he was unbelievable for the Tigers. I mean, just the kind of postseason performance that legends are made of. 7 2/3 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 14 strikeouts. Just an incredible day from Tarik Skubal, and just that made me that much more want to figure out a way to bring him home. We need to figure out a way to get this man home to Arizona once again. They did draft him once, that didn't work, so we'll have to figure something else out.
Well, he's going to be a free agent in what, a year or two? I think he's done 2027. After 2027, he's a free agent. So
look, we could take all of the super chat money I have
He does
I have
for a fact.
$11.
He trains here. Fact.
Here, you can just have it. And that's not a lot. I don't have a lot of money, but if there's a lot of us that all give a lot of money, we can all make this happen. Ken Kendrick, please, let's bring Tarik Skubal home. I'll take whatever it'll take to bring this man home to Arizona. But more importantly, Jesse, I just can't imagine having an ace on your staff that could go out there on the first day of the playoffs and step his game up. You know what I mean? Like, he's already been incredible. He's already a Cy Young candidate. He's already a Cy Young winner. But quite frankly, to see him go out there on a day like this against the Guardians team that kind of snuck up on the Tigers and stole the division title from them, it was amazing for him to go out there and perform the way he did today.
Tarik Skubal is one of my favorite baseball players to watch in general. Just not only the fact that he's an unbelievable pitcher, but just his antics on the mound, the way that he gets into the game as much as he does. There's a certain intensity about him that I think is really fun. And he averaged 99.1 with his four-seam fastball in this game. Just seeing his evolution here over the past few years has been unreal. And he's a Kingman native. One of my brothers faced him in high school. And so it's the Tarik Skubal narrative is pretty wild. What an amazing baseball journey it's been for him. And who knows, Derek, maybe he does return to the state of Arizona at some point. Maybe an uphill battle to make that happen. But you just keep that piggy bank going, and we'll see what happens.
I'll do whatever it takes. The swear jar money, whatever money we need to figure it out, we'll figure it out. That's something that we need to make happen. Meanwhile, speaking of other Diamondbacks connections, the Cubs beat the Padres today by a score of 3-1. Suzuki was sensational for the Cubs today. The Cubs knocked Nick Pivetta out, who was incredible for the Padres this season after just 5 innings pitched and just 2 earned runs allowed. And again, Carson Kelly, former Arizona Diamondback catcher, was the big hero for the Cubbies, hitting essentially the go-ahead home run that gave the Cubs the lead, and they held on in a close game. That's another thing about these games. We had a bunch of fun, close games today that were not offensive, incredibly offensive games, except the finale here against the Dodgers and the Reds. But I love myself a good close matchup. I love myself a good pitching duel. And that's what we got out of those first 3 games today.
Carson Kelly's had such a fascinating season this year. I mean, he came out of the gate and was just on an absolute tear. In March, he went 5 for 10. In April, he went 13 for 40. He had an OPS of about 1,300 by the end of April. And then he kind of fell off a cliff for most of the rest of the season. I guess he was really good in July, but after the All-Star break, he had a 596 OPS. So not a great second half for Carson Kelly. But if you do it in the postseason, Derek, that's kind of all that matters.
That is.
It doesn't matter what the numbers are on the back of your baseball card at this time of year. It just matters if you're able to come through when your team really needs it most. And good on Carson Kelly for coming through there.
And I think Sean is very right. Sean here in the chat says that apparently the winner of the Goldie trade was the Cubs. I don't know how that works out, but that feels wrong. Also, the Red Sox beat the Yankees, another close game today. Garrett Crochet dominated the Yankees today. He was the other outstanding pitching performance. And, that's no slight to some of the other performances that we got today. But Crochet, 7 2/3 innings, allowing only 4 hits and 1 earned run while striking out 11. Just slightly overshadowed by Tarik Skubal's day. But then you also had that exciting 9th inning where Aroldis Chapman somehow got out of a 9th inning bases loaded jam with no outs. And that was very reminiscent. Watching that, Jesse, very reminiscent of watching this Diamondbacks team offense at times, right? Where they were able to have runners in scoring position, do something like that, and then somehow, some way, with less than 2 outs, not find themselves plating a single run.
There were some rough moments toward the end. I mean, it is strange, but I think big picture, the Dbacks were still pretty much fine in high leverage situations, hitting with runners in scoring position by the end of the season. But toward the end of the season, it definitely got worse. And I feel like the best part about this time of year, Derek, for for fans of teams that are not playing October baseball is just seeing all of the big market fan bases kind of crumble, because as you said earlier, these games, there's a lot of randomness. Anything can happen in a
Yeah,
3-game
it's
series.
so
Obviously,
random.
the Red Sox and Yankees are like, those are two pretty evenly matched teams, I think.
Right.
But yes, it can be entertaining to see the reactions of fans when things like this happen.
Well, it's interesting because the Tigers and Red Sox are kind of upsets, not really, but overall, like just being the road teams, they got the upset wins today. Tigers were 5-8 this year against Cleveland Guardians, so that's actually a good thing for them to get out on top in the series. But the Red Sox actually had the Yankees number this year. They were 9-4 versus the Yankees in the regular season. So again, it's just an interesting matchup there. And we're going to talk about managers who got let go. We're going to talk about Torey Lovullo staying, and we're also going to talk about if Aaron Boone possibly might be out in New York if the Yankees lose that series. But we're going to do that later on. The other series or other game that we haven't talked about yet is the Dodgers beating the crap out of the Reds. They did make it much closer later in the game. Eventually, the game was a 10-5 outcome, but man, Jesse, I can't. Oh, wait, I did want to note one main takeaway from the Yankees Red Sox game, and that is that the ESPN audio feed is atrocious. I am very happy that the Yankees only scored one run, because every time the home crowd would roar, it would roar to this crackle. Like it was, I don't know what's the term for it in production, Damon, when you like cap out or like when peaking. Yeah, it's like they was peaking and it was causing like a crackling interference sound. I thought it was like my speakers or something with my home audio until I changed televisions to another one and it was doing it over there as well early in the game. So I realized it wasn't me. It was ESPN's terrible audio feed. And this isn't a good start to this new era with ESPN Unlimited and all of this stuff. So get it together, boys. Get it together. But all right, Dodgers, Reds, 10-5 ball game. Series really puts a magnifying glass here, Jesse, on the payroll discrepancies in baseball. The Dodgers ruin baseball in every conceivable way. We know that. It's the Dodgers' fault that in 2027 baseball is probably going to have a work stoppage. But a $509 million payroll in this series versus a $121 million payroll. And Ohtani leads off the game in the first inning with a leadoff home run. I'm sick of this guy. I've had it. I've had it up to here. I'm on a Damon level of sick of this guy now.
He's pretty good at the baseball, Derek.
Oh my God.
He's pretty good at the thing. Yeah, this was not a particularly compelling game. I guess it was inevitable that the Dodgers bullpen would at least let the Reds back in the game slightly toward the end, which
This
they
game
did
is
do.
as advertised. Like if you were to tell me what the Dodgers season was, it was exemplified in this game. Amazing starting pitching that dominated the opposing team, incredible offense, and then a terrible bullpen. And that sums this up. Like that, this is the Dodgers in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it's why I think I'm still skeptical of the Dodgers being able to go on a run this postseason, just because you really can't make it through all the way unless you have 2 or 3 relievers that really step up and can get those big outs for you.
Yeah.
I just don't know who that is on the Dodgers right now. They're not going to be able to win every game in the playoffs by this big of a margin.
Correct.
And I mean, Alex Vesia, we saw him struggle in that series against the Diamondbacks. He's had some shaky moments here lately. Henriquez couldn't throw a strike in this game. Jack Dreyer came in. He struggled to throw strikes as well. I'm just not. And Blake Trinan has had a really rough season and of course was injured as well. So they're in a really tough spot from a bullpen standpoint. I guess it's possible that the offense, as good as it is, and the pitching staff, as good as the starting pitching that team has access to is, I still wonder if the bullpen is going to be an issue sooner than later.
I think it's interesting also how the time off is going to play into this next round for the Dodgers, because even if they win these games, it definitely doesn't help their bullpen situation any as they advance in the playoffs for sure. But their offense might be good enough, because it feels like their offense is hot. And, again, they beat up on LA native Hunter Green today. And overall, you have Shohei Ohtani, Teoscar Hernandez, 2 home run each game here, and you hate to see it. And I can't help but think, Jesse, like overall, after seeing the way the Dodgers handled this game, if the Diamondbacks would have even had a shot, and I don't mean to discredit the Diamondbacks, they do play the Dodgers well, but with the way that the series went and the way the final game went, I mean, I don't even know how this would have stacked up for the Diamondbacks. I don't even know, had they had success in let's say San Diego and made it to the postseason, and we're here in the shot in this moment, who would have been their starter? Ryan Nelson? Would they have started Zach Gallen? I mean, I feel like Ryan Nelson would have been the guy to go, right? So, like, I don't feel terrible about that. I just don't know how Ryan Nelson's fastball would have fared against this particular lineup in this big of a moment.
I think it would have been Ryan Nelson. He was lined up to start the first game of a wild card round if the Diamondbacks had made it there. I will say the Dbacks played the Dodgers pretty tough this season. They were just one sacrifice fly in that game last Wednesday away from winning the season series over the Dodgers. So, and they've generally held their own against the Dodgers the past few years. Obviously 2023 went the way it did, right? I know I've talked to some Dodgers fans lately, and they unanimously agree that they wanted nothing to do with the Diamondbacks in the playoffs.
That's the thing.
Jesse, that's the reason why they are the team they are now. We did that. We made that happen. We made them go get Shohei Ohtani. We made them bolster their lineup and they were like, we don't care how much money we spend. We're never losing to the Diamondbacks in the playoffs ever again. And that's us. We did that.
Don't you dare put that evil on us.
We created that monster, Damon. It was us. It was us.
I say that last part in jest, but yeah, I don't know. I hate the Dodgers so much.
He's disgusted with this whole conversation, but any surprises for you at all today with the way that these games went down, or what were your thoughts overall on the close games and then the Dodgers just kind of routing the Reds here?
No huge surprises. I mean, because it's one game. I mean, I feel like I'm never all that surprised. Really, anything can happen in these games. But
exactly.
I will say, going back to the Reds-Dodgers game, I was really hoping that Hunter Green would be able to shine on this stage. It was his first postseason start. He's taken a really big step forward this year. He's an unbelievably good pitcher. And even though I wasn't necessarily banking on the Reds winning this game, I thought that game one could be really fun to watch and entertaining. I mean, Hunter Green against Blake Snell, it on paper, it seemed like a game that should be competitive most of the way through. But unfortunately, in Hunter Green's first postseason start, kind of a disaster. He's only able to complete 3 innings. I think it was 6 runs allowed. So you don't want to judge too much. It's just one postseason start. Hopefully for him, he'll have many more in the future. But yeah, anytime you have like a really fun young pitcher get their first playoff start and it's a total dud, it just is kind of sad for me as a baseball fan. Like, I really want to see those pitchers rise to the occasion in those moments.
For sure. And I think that it's good for baseball. It's good to see new stars grow. It's good to, I mean, it's just good to have a young team like this Reds team that it does have a payroll that's nearly $400 million less than the Dodgers come out and have a good showing. I mean, even if they don't win, you would love to see them push it to 3 games. You would love to see them overall just kind of, make this competitive. They did late. It felt like they were, like you said, they got into the Dodgers bullpen and they were able to score some runs there. It felt like they just weren't really patient enough, but they were also in a huge hole at that point. And it was pretty impossible to ask any team to come back from, that kind of deficit against the Dodgers. But overall, I know we probably shouldn't do this, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway in an effort to lure him away from Detroit. We're going to give away our King Snake, Jesse, and it goes to the one, the only, Tarik Skubal, Arizona's own. Kingman, Arizona's own, Tarik Skubal. 7 2/3 innings pitched today for the Tigers. 1 earned run, 3 hits allowed, a career high 14K. And look at that image. Look at that picture of his face. I'm ready to run through one of these walls. I know it's going to cause some problem with our electrical situation here, but I'm ready to just run through a wall. And Sean says this feels so wrong. It does feel wrong, Sean. It's going to feel wrong. The entire month of October is going to feel wrong, and it's off to a weird start because it's not even October yet. I won't even let my wife put up Halloween decorations yet. She has to wait until tomorrow. But yeah, Jesse, it does feel wrong, and I think part of this is because we don't want to be this meme I posted of us on the outside looking in. At least if we did lose, we wanted to be in and losing to the Dodgers in the playoffs and not playing this what if game. But I don't know. I don't know if getting bounced in a 2-game sweep by the Dodgers and this ridiculous offense they have is much better than not making the playoffs, but it probably is.
Let me ask you this question, Derek. If you had to win a game tomorrow, it's a playoff game, say it's a game 7, and you could either have Paul Skenes or Tarik Skubal pitching that game for you, who would you choose?
I would probably pick Skubal.
Okay.
I say that because of what I've seen out of him, and like he loves the spotlight in these big moments. That's a different level. Not to say Paul Skenes doesn't, but I don't really feel like he's been tested in any kind of big moment other than him just going out there and having to live up to the expectations that are Paul Skenes, right? Like I think Tarik Skubal has it a little bit easier than Paul Skenes in that aspect. Skenes is like a anomaly, like going to see the circus or something, and then you go and like, oh, the elephant's sick today and he only went 4 innings and gave up 3 earned runs. You're like, I want my money back, right? Like, so that's what it feels like. Like Paul Skenes has a lot of pressure to live up to the pressure or live up to the expectations of being him. And Tarik Skubal, I don't think anybody really thinks of him in that same aspect that they do Paul Skenes. So I imagine every start is a lot of pressure for Skenes, but still I just feel like we've seen Tarik really have this, these moments like this, and I feel like he is a big reason why this Tigers team has been in this position that they've been in. They have an ace like this to go in these games, and I mean this was a close game on the road. 2-1 victory, and he went out there and gave you 7 2/3 of that game. Like that's that would be lovely. I could only imagine one of the Diamondbacks pitchers going out and doing that for them in a big first game of the playoffs like this. So kudos to him on what he was able to do for sure. But we're going to take a quick break, and on the other side of this break, we're going to spy on our exes, and that means all of the guys that play baseball games today. That's right, we're taking a recap of all the former Diamondbacks and how their days went in the postseason. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Dbacks show. All right, Phoenix. Well, whether you are gearing up for a game day fun, whether you're winding down after a work day at work or a hike on Camelback Mountain, or just recovering from another brutal Cardinals loss. We'll throw the Cardinals, shade Cardinals. We don't throw shade at the Mercury, so we're going to say another brutal Cardinals loss. But if you want to recover from all of these things, do it at Zen Leaf Dispensaries. It's your go-to spot for cannabis, whether you're looking for flower, vapes, edibles, and more. It is the place that has all the brands you can trust. They have locations all across the valley, including Chandler, Gilbert, North Phoenix, and it's easy to swing by before kickoff or order online for express pickup post-workout. Let me tell you, ordering online is key. Don't waste all of that time. You have no idea what the line is going to be like at any time at a Zen Leaf Dispensaries. It's a very popular place, and they have some great deals, so don't miss out. Right now, speaking of deals, you can use our promo code of ZenPHNX for 50% off. That's right, not 15% off, 50% off. Just for listening, just for watching right now. So you can only use it once. Make sure to stock up with this amazing discount, whether you've been around the block or you're trying something for the first time. The Zen Leaf crew will make sure you leave with exactly what you need. Don't forget, for a limited time, use that promo code of ZenPHNX for 50% off a one-time purchase. Zen Leaf, great weed, great service every time. Also, pairs well with Circle K, which you should stop by a Circle K right now. It is America's thirst stop. You can get yourself some snacks, get yourself something to drink. More importantly, save yourself some money. Join the Inner Circle right now. It's their free membership program. It's easy to download and get enrolled. And once you are enrolled, all you got to do is use your phone number to save on all sorts of things like Polar Pops, which you'll get for 79 cents, Frosters, which you'll get for 99 cents. They have 3 3 Gatorades for $5 right now. Those are the 20-ounce Gatorades, and you can also visit once per week and either spend a minimum of $5 or get $5 in gas, and you will earn yourself 10 cents off of gas per gallon on your next fill up. And again, you can earn that once weekly. They also have all sorts of food deals. $1.50 large coffee with their maple pumpkin coffee. It's that time of the year, and so much more. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Well, we have more to talk about, like I said, in regards to the comments made today. But before we move on from the postseason, Jesse, I did want to spy on our exes. I know you remember my little weird graphic that we made here. And of course, we're going to do some spying on our exes, Jesse. And
that graphic is 5 years old now.
Yeah, pretty much. That's an old graphic. That graphic should be in kindergarten by now, is basically what I'm thinking. But that's because we've spent a lot of time looking back on our old teams and our old players. Hey, Maria is here in the chat, by the way, Jesse, our favorite Dodger fan. She says, "Hola, my old friends." Maria, it's great to see you. Well, speaking of old friends, Jesse, Carson Kelly, we talked about him before, but he hit the go-ahead solo home run to win the game for the Chicago Cubs today. He was 1 for 3 with that home run and an RBI. And again, it's just it's great to see Carson continuing to do big things in his career, and yeah, it makes you miss him just a little bit.
Carson Kelly is just such a fascinating career he's had, Derek. I mean, just a couple of years ago, it sort of looked like Carson Kelly's career was coming to an end, frankly. I mean, the Diamondbacks moved on from him. He just looked like he couldn't catch up to a fastball anymore, and maybe that was going to be the end of it. And then a couple years later, here he is with the Cubs as a middle of the order type bat for them. I mean, he's been hitting, I think, like 4th or 5th for a decent portion of the season. I want to say they maybe dropped him down to 6th for this game, but there's never really been like a steady version of Carson Kelly that I can recall. It tends to be either very, very good, maybe for a couple months at a time, or pretty rough for a few months at a time. But once again, if Carson Kelly is hot right now at the right time, I mean, that could be really, really big for a Cubs team that I think they're kind of looking for that leader offensively. Kyle Tucker has not really been that for them with getting hurt and just sort of being inconsistent here the past couple of months.
It's wild because we've talked about this Diamondbacks team missing that veteran presence, and how James McCann kind of filled that void for them. And not only that, but catching, he also helped them out substantially. We've heard from so many players and from Torey several times that, James McCann had a huge impact here. And it feels like now here we have Carson Kelly kind of being that veteran impact on this Cubs lineup. And, again, not necessarily being the hugest offensive threat, but hitting a very timely home run that put them ahead in a close game. Another close game that we saw today, played one of 3 out of the 4, and then there's that Dodgers stinker. But big moment for Carson.
I love that Maria in the chat says, "I'm going to borrow the ladies and gentlemen the bullpen graphic."
You guys,
I think the Dodgers fan base needs it.
Well, we have a little clip here from our guys over at CHGO. Here is Carson Kelly after today's game reacting to essentially that game-winning home run.
Yeah, I mean, very special. I mean, you dream about those moments as a little kid. It's getting into the postseason and hitting the game-winning home run, right? And to have that happen today is really an honor and very, very special.
When was the last bigger hit than that you've had in your life?
I don't think there is one. I mean, not in the postseason because this is my first one.
Is he getting more handsome as he ages? I think he's getting more handsome as he ages. I don't know. I might just be biased here, but it's the hair. It's and the eyebrow. I missed the eyebrow thing that he doesn't even know he's doing, where he kind of does the rock eyebrow. And anyway,
he never had flow like that in Arizona.
It's a dry heat here. You got to keep it short here. I'm noticing that with me. I've given up, Jesse. I just don't cut my hair anymore.
You just didn't try that hard with us.
Yeah, no.
Sad. Well,
the flow game is very important in the Dbacks locker room currently. But yeah, again, just cool to see that. Dansby Swanson was 1 for 3 in that game with a run. He's very good defensively, but we were having that conversation now, right? Where like it's hard to imagine him being on this Diamondbacks team now with the roster and the way things have gone.
Yeah, I mean Carson Kelly, like such a fixture for this team for a long time at catcher, and then Gabriel Moreno has kind of been that guy here for the past few years, and it's a
Yeah.
little weird to imagine this team having a full-time catcher other than him. So, yeah, but Carson Kelly, I mean, when the Diamondbacks first acquired him, that 2019 season that he had was really promising. I mean, there was a time when I thought Carson was going to be one of the best catchers in the game for a long time, and he has been that, but just sort of in spurts. It has not been quite as consistent as people maybe would have liked.
Meanwhile, Jesse, before the end of today's episode, I'm going to reveal our National League team that we're rooting for on this podcast. Now, we probably shouldn't pick a National League team. We were going to steer clear of that, and we were just going to be a Mariners podcast. We were going to be a Sea Snakes, King Sea Snake, that kind of thing. When the Mariners start playing baseball, don't worry, we're going to be covering the Mariners very heavily. But I have to make that known because no matter how many Diamondbacks are on the Yankees, we want to make it clear we will not be rooting for the Yankees on this podcast. There's no rooting interest for the Yankees, even if Paul Goldschmidt still looks great out there at first base for the Yankees. He was 2 for 4 today for them with 2 singles. Jazz Chisholm as a pinch hitter was 0 for 1. But the big story here, Jesse, was Luke Weaver, who had himself quite the postseason last year, was not that tonight for the Yankees. He did not have a great night out there. Gave up the tying and go-ahead run in the 7th inning on a Masataka Yoshida 2 RBI single, and then did not record an out. Was charged with the loss. Goes out there, goes 0-0 innings pitched, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, and 1 walk.
Yeah, tough game for Luke Weaver. He's still had a pretty decent season with the Yankees. It was not as good as what he was able to do a year ago. Last year, he had a 2.89 ERA compared to a 3.62 this season. Also, this season, he went 8 for 12 in save opportunities, which is not particularly fantastic. But I mean, he's still a productive reliever. He's still a guy that you'd want on your team. Unfortunately, just not a good day for him today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think Killer X said it, but you could almost make up a decent team of all the former Diamondbacks that are playing in the playoffs this postseason, and we will continue to spy on them the rest of the postseason. Sorry, not sorry. That's going to happen. But we're going to take a quick break. On the other side of this break, we're going to get around to the meat of this episode, and that is discussing the comments made today by Mike Hazen and Torey Lovullo at their final media availability, and if Torey Lovullo is the actual best option for the Diamondbacks in 2026. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Dbacks show. Well, for more than 15 years, Access Insurance Agency of Arizona has provided affordable, reliable car insurance to drivers in the Phoenix metro area. As a dedicated part of the local community, Access Auto helps Arizona drivers get insured by offering flexible coverage options and accepting various forms of ID, driving histories, and license types. By partnering together with over 20 insurance carriers, they make it easy for you to compare rates and find the best policy for your budget, with bilingual Spanish-speaking agents at 9 convenient locations across the valley. Access agents are ready to assist customers in finding the right coverage for their budgets and identifying available discounts. Both cash and card payments are accepted for added convenience. Access Auto, trusted by the community, rooted in Phoenix, and ready to help. All statements are subject to terms, exclusions, and conditions of the applicable policy. In all instances, the current policy contract language prevails. Coverage is subject to individual policyholders meeting underwriting qualifications, state availability. Other terms, conditions, and exclusions do apply. Well, of course, whatever the moment, it is never ordinary over at Bet365. Bet365 does offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. And that is because they pioneered live in-game betting and they make it more fun. So, of course, right now during the MLB postseason, get down on the MLB early payout offer where you're a winner if your team goes ahead by 5 runs with an instant payout offer on straight bets and parlay selections, which will be marked as winners. Bet on the Dodgers. They're going to go up ahead by 5 runs all the time. Will their bullpen hold it? It doesn't matter, because with Bet365, your early payout offer will pay you out. They also have tons of offers on NFL this season, including a $10 safety net bet offer for Thursday Night Football, a $365,000 jackpot for Sunday Night Football when you place a $10 bet on the first touchdown scorer. And if that person scores the last touchdown, you get a part of that $365,000 pool, regardless of what happens with your first touchdown scoring bet. Whether you win or lose, you are eligible for part of that pool if the person you bet on is the last touchdown scorer. Also, they have a 50% super profit boost token for single game parlays for Monday Night Football. So get down on all the action right now, as new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up. Use that code of PHNX365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, players, props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Well, Jesse, we had our final day at Chase Field. It was sad. It's always sad. It's always sad to leave that place for the final day of the year. But this had a weird, just kind of tone to it. I mean, it definitely felt like 2026 is a very important year for both Torey Lovullo and Mike Hazen. But Mike took a lot of accountability today for what's gone on this year, as he has this entire season. I don't feel like Mike has ever shied away from accepting accountability, but today he took a decent share of the blame for what happened in 2025. And he feels like, even though they did a great job of going out there and adding, some frontline pieces, they didn't give this team enough of a safety net for, an absolute calamity should it happen. And that's what happened to this team, an absolute calamity when it came to the losses that they experienced with injuries this season.
Yeah, I mean, two things can be true, right? On one hand, Mike Hazen should have done a better job of making it so the Dbacks had a strong line of defense in case injuries happen, because injuries are certainly, every team deals with injuries to an extent. Maybe the Dbacks had it a little bit worse than most teams this year, but yeah, the guys who stepped up, and Mike was very forthright about this, the guys in AAA just weren't ready for this. And the guys that they picked up, off waivers or whatever it was, some had more success than others, but on the whole, it just was not really a viable solution to the problem. So that's definitely going to be a point of emphasis. At the same time, I don't think Mike Hazen was as bad a job at building this bullpen as the numbers would lead you to believe, because I still think that if AJ Puck and Justin Martinez were healthy this season, if Kevin Ginkel is healthy and performing, like, I think there was a world where this bullpen actually was pretty good this year, especially with the way that Shelby Miller was looking there for the first few months of the season. He was a great pickup. Jalen Beeks had a decent year as well, as a just spring training invite, somebody you didn't really know what you were gonna get there. So, but yeah, going into next season, the Dbacks are going to need a better bullpen, and this for Mike Hazen is not just a 1-year problem. It's really been an issue most seasons since he took over here in Arizona. So we'll see if he's able to fix that going into next year.
Mike Hazen did say his priority, just to rub it in Damon's face, was starting pitching over bullpen, but that he felt like they needed help with both, obviously. We had a discussion the other day on Mailbag Monday, Jesse, about offseason priorities, and I just felt in general like the situation the Diamondbacks are in right now, the reality of it, with no Zach Gallen coming back, with no Merrill Kelly coming back, no imaginary worlds where they do come back, just like the reality of right now. They have 3 starting pitchers, and they can't play baseball next year with 3 starting pitchers.
Fine,
right?
Derek,
So,
you win.
right?
Is that what you want to hear?
That's what I wanted to hear.
Jesse, was he going to keep going until I said that and cut him off and said that he wins? Because it felt like it.
I was going to stretch it out for as long as possible. But anyway, obviously, those two things, though, are very close to being similar levels of priority for this team. Even though the starting pitching is more of a absolute need, you do have enough arms in the bullpen, technically, with the young arms that you ran out there this year to have a bullpen. Not a good bullpen, and there's no argument there that the bullpen still wouldn't be very good if you tried to run it out there without any improvements between now and the start of next season. But starting pitching, an absolute priority for this team. And based on Ken Kendrick's comments on 98.7 the other day, this team is not going to have the same amount of money to spend in 2026. So Mike Hazen didn't seem concerned about how much money he has because he can ball out on a budget, but it's still going to be a problem for them to essentially address all of their needs with the amount of money that they have to spend.
I mean, just filling 2 spots in your starting rotation in and of itself, like that can be expensive. I mean, Eduardo Rodriguez was a 4-year, $80 million contract, and obviously it hasn't gone well. But even if the Dbacks had gotten sort of what I expected them to get out of Erod, he was going to be more of a league average sort of pitcher than an excellent pitcher, and that was still at $20 million per year. Like that's what it costs at this point to get like a mid rotation guy is about $20 million per year. So I don't think the Dbacks really have it in the budget to do that twice. Like I don't think they have $40 million in 2026 payroll to commit to those 2 spots. So maybe it's one guy via free agency and it's one guy via trade. Maybe they look overseas and try to find the next Merrill Kelly or something crazy like that.
They've been good at that.
Yeah,
at least
they might have to get creative there.
For sure. Well, let's hear from Mike Hazen. Here's just a little bit of what he had to say about retaining Torey Lovullo for the 2026 season and his assessment of Lovullo from this past year.
I know a lot of these. I'm aware that a lot of what happens during the course of a season falls on the manager producing wins. We're in charge of winning baseball games. Period. It's black and white. Both of us, and we can't do it without each other. And I can't give him a bad roster and then tell him to go out there and win 90 games. And I felt like from the engagement to the coaching to the pushing of the players to where they needed to go, I thought he did a good job. I do. I think he's a really good manager. I think the relationships he has with our players, I think the emergence of a superstar shortstop that I think we got not ridiculed, but, when we signed him this offseason to what he is now, that's not an accident. I think when asked the question about are you upset or do you, whoever asked the question, if they were in here about, the front office giving up on your team and your superstar shortstop saying it's on the players to decide whether or not the front office is going to buy or sell, to coming into Torey's office, having a top 5 season in baseball and saying that how disappointed he is in his defense letting the team down this year. Those are the building blocks of things in my mind that aren't just seen out on the field. And I get it. We are here to win and lose, and we will ultimately be judged on wins and losses. I'm not skirting that one iota. There's a lot here in my mind that Torey does so well that puts our players in a position to have success and be confident and feel good about what they're doing on a daily basis. It's also on me to provide him with the resources to go out there and win baseball games. And I did not do that this year. Once that first line got hurt, there was not enough there to safety net underneath that. And I need to do a better job of that.
He referred, Jesse, at one point, and I know this wasn't meant to be or I know he didn't intend it to sound this way or mean it this way, but he said he gave Torey a bad roster. And I couldn't help but think when I heard that, like, it's fair, but I only imagine what it must sound like if I was one of the players on that roster hearing that from Mike Hazen. Like, I know he's not talking about particular players. He's just saying overall, this wasn't the best roster. I mean, that's fair to say considering the Diamondbacks didn't even have a first baseman at the end of the year, right? Like literally not even a first baseman, no closer, no, no nothing. Like they were just asking guys to go out there and fill in needs wherever they could. So, yeah, I mean, it does feel a little bit like this is a roster that was a bad roster.
I think it's fair to say I definitely hear where you're coming from. Like GMs, I think have to be careful the way that they talk to the media. You would never want to at least I don't think you would want to call out a player specifically, but
Right.
he didn't do that there. To your point, he just said a bad roster. And I mean, they finished below 500. So I think you can kind of say objectively it was a bad roster, at least a below average roster when all was said and done. And injuries played a big part in that. But yeah, also as Hazen just described there, the line of defense after that first run of guys got hurt, it just wasn't good enough. There just wasn't enough talent there. And that's been an issue in this organization for a while, especially on the pitching side.
Well, what's that, Killer Rex, Sean, and Albert? You guys all want to hear from Torey? Well, you ask and you shall receive. Here's Torey Lovullo talking about returning in 2026.
Well, first of all, I'm grateful for Mr. Kendrick, Derek, Mike, and his team for believing in me and saying, "Hey, let's keep going. Let's make this happen." I asked after the 21 season for an opportunity to manage the group of players that we have here and see where we can take this. And I think we've won a lot of baseball games. We went to a World Series. We won 89 games last year. We've come close the past couple of years. That's not a consolation, but I think when I was getting asked the questions, I was at peace with whatever was going to happen because I've done my absolute best. And we all know when you do your absolute best and it just doesn't meet the mark, then you have some satisfaction and walk away. You can walk away from that. But I'm not ready to walk away from this. I want to win a world championship here in the Valley. I want to celebrate with the fans. I have dreams that we all talk about, and I'm just grateful for that being in place still. But I think I said it quickly in my office in San Diego. This is a tough business. This is a really, really tough business. And if they were going to move on from me, and this is kind of what you're asking, if they're going to move on from me, I was going to be like, somebody better is going to come in here and make some good things happen. And that would give me some happiness. So I was trying to find some positives in it, and just grateful. Right now I'm feeling just very grateful for them still believing in me. And I know we can do this here. I feel very strongly that we're going to do something special here.
Surprise. Anyway, Jesse, I'm trying to make light of this situation because I don't want to have anything to do with this entire mess right now. And we are picking the Cubs, at least I am, as our National League team. Now, I want to say, Jesse, overall, it feels like people kind of take this a little bit of the wrong way. Torey's not being extended or anything like that. It's not an option that's being picked up, which is something that we did see with other managers who were actually fired, even though those options were picked up for next season. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But overall here, it feels like, with this being the final year on his contract, that it just seems to make a lot of sense, especially with the mess that a new manager might be walking into with this roster next year and the situation, to bring Torey back and have him finish up the final year of his contract. I will say I feel like it's going to take an extraordinary season in order for the Diamondbacks to consider bringing him back beyond 2026. There's also all sorts of problems with baseball that could be problematic and not allow there to even be a 2027 season. So that also, at least in my opinion, and as Damon and I discussed on a trending pod we did earlier, that feels like the thing that makes the most sense. Like the next 2 years just could be such a mess that, you might as well let Torey finish up 2026, let 2027 get figured out. And then if you have a new manager, a new change of coaches and such, allow all of that to take place at that point.
I'm really curious where the Dbacks are setting the kind of the benchmark here. Like what exactly are they looking for in 2026 in order to give Torey Lovullo an extension? I mean, surely they're not keeping him now with the expectation that they're going to let him go next year, right? Like they have to at least have some belief that they're keeping him because they want him to be the manager of this team for, more years to come than just 2026. And on paper, I don't think there's any way that on opening day of next year, the Dbacks are expected to make the playoffs. Or I mean, if maybe some people would expect them to make the playoffs, but it would be kind of on the fringes, I think, is where they would realistically stand.
It would have to be based on the moves that they make during the offseason in order to improve their roster, quite frankly.
Yeah, and I just, to what we were talking about earlier with the amount of money that they have to spend and the fact that Corbin Burns and AJ Puck and Justin Martinez, like all those guys are still hurt. I mean, it's certainly not impossible for this team to contend next year. I think it's totally possible, but it's not going to be an expectation. So
Right.
is it sort of, are you okay going into 2026 with, like, on paper, a roster that probably doesn't belong in the playoffs? And then if you wind up not making the playoffs with that roster, is that going to mean that Torey is done at that point just because he wasn't able to, take that roster above and beyond what the expectations were?
That's such a great point.
Or could there be, or maybe next year they're going to be like, well, we didn't really give him enough to work with, because frankly, it's going to be really hard to give him enough to work with to go and win 90 games next year. That's going to be a really a pretty serious uphill battle.
But if you keep making that excuse for him year after year, do you really get to a point where you extend him while saying that? Like, again, this is an offseason that we saw a lot of coaches that have a lot of experience, a lot of coaches we like that were fired. And quite frankly, they were fired because their teams fell short of expectations of making the playoffs. Like, yes, the Diamondbacks definitely had more significant, impactful injuries that happened to them, but they didn't really have more injuries than the average team has happened to them over the course of the year. It just so happened that not only were they to the most important members of the pitching staff, it felt like, but also they were devastating injuries where we just didn't lose them for 3 months. We lost them well until next season. So it was uncommon. And I think that's another weird thing is, like, Mike Hazen even got asked about that, like if they're going to approach pitching differently. And he had to say, like, this isn't like indicative of us as a team. Like, this isn't going to be something that happens more in the future. But I do think that overall it's a problem for baseball in general, and it's not just a problem for the Diamondbacks. So, but you could easily say with how bad those injuries were, that this season is a write-off and not entirely Torey's fault. We've talked about the handful of games that they could have won had he managed the games better. Even those outcomes, we don't know how they turn out. And also, that's going to happen to every manager in baseball. They're always going to have losses that occur throughout the year because they didn't go with the right guy in the right situation, or the guy they went with didn't perform, so the manager takes the blame for it. But overall here, I think you made the best point. And I think that is that if from this point going forward, if the expectation isn't to make the playoffs next year, and that's what I mean, like, in order for Torey to be extended next year, and maybe that's it, because they don't expect anything out of next year, let Torey stay as the manager, because you don't even expect to make the playoffs next year, right? And then if they do, if they miraculously do, if they win, if God comes down and points his finger at our dugout, if every man, woman, and child held hands and prayed for us to win, Jesse, and we made the postseason, then maybe, just maybe, they would consider extending Torey. But that would have to be the unlikely scenario for them to even consider it. And they know that going forward. And maybe even Torey understands that. Maybe Torey understands that he needs to manage his ass off next year in order for them to make the postseason. And I mean, he already talked in the press conference today about coming out in spring training with a different sense of urgency and coming out on day one with a sense of urgency. That's something we definitely didn't see in April, as Torey was constantly talking about, a slow build and, getting guys ready and all this other stuff. And it did frustrate fans early in the season because it was like, that's what spring training is for. Let's get going. It's the regular season,
Yeah, I think that's probably where I would ultimately land with this, is that the Dbacks decided to hold on to just keep Torey Lovullo here because clearly he hasn't lost the clubhouse. And I think that's a really big point of evaluation in this for them is, I mean, that's something we know is Torey's responsibility, is building relationships with those guys and making them feel comfortable and confident on a day-to-day basis. Certainly he's done that. The decisions that Torey makes, we've touched on this a lot on Snakes territory lately. Those decisions are heavily influenced by the front office. The line between what the decisions that Torey makes and the decisions that the front office makes, slash the decisions that technically Torey makes, but he's getting so much input from the front office that it probably wouldn't be great for someone in his position to totally dismiss what he's being told. There's some gray area there with those decisions, but we know that Torey is responsible for the clubhouse and those relationships. And there's never really been any question about his ability to do that. These guys still respect him and very much love him. And so I think that's a really big part of this evaluation process right now.
I mean, Ryan Thompson's one of the first things he said was, I would go to war for that guy. Right. And we get a lot of that for Torey. I still remember guys like Eduardo Escobar saying that he would die for Torey, but saying it with the most serious face I've ever heard anybody ever say they would die for another man before. So he makes connections with players that's different than your average manager. But those connections are also based on the fact that maybe it's how he treats them during the game and the respect he gives them. And maybe a manager needs to have a little bit less of a connection with his players to enable him to make the tough decisions at times and not really care what his players' feelings are about it, right? So I don't know what the right answer there is. I just know that Torey has a tall task before him in 2026, and I think we can all agree that if this team performs next year the way it did this year, that will most likely be the end of Torey Lovullo's tenure here. And I mean, if they struggle throughout the season, we might not even see him finish up the year. That wouldn't be very surprising to me either. But
yeah,
Jesse, we appreciate you so much for your time. Make sure to check out his show over there at Snakes Territory. Make sure to follow him at Jesse N. Friedman on Twitter and Snakes Territory, wherever you get your podcast and all of your stuff. We appreciate you as always, bud. Thank you so much for stopping by. And thank you for never telling anybody about me buying this hoodie when we were in Chicago.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, go Cubs. I guess is that the story here? Is that what's happening?
People are gonna like that.
Go Reds.
Yeah, I mean anybody but the Dodgers. Anybody but the Dodgers.
Whoever's playing the Dodgers is Damon's favorite team.
That's right.
Except if it's the Phillies, then that's tough.
Yeah, we had to pick one of the sister. It was either CHGO or PHLI, and I will be damned, Jesse. I will be damned if I'm going to root for the Phillies. Didn't they bring Garrett Stubbs back? Oh, no, I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
They still have Brandon Marsh. I mean, just bad
his
people.
His hair and his beard. No, I'm not rooting for that. But Jesse, we're always rooting for you. Thank you so much for you stopping by, sir.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you later. Well, of course, wanted to remind you guys that we always do some fun stuff, and we love having you guys join us. Make sure to join us on October 19th for our Chicken and Pickle Cards tailgate. Join the PHNX Cardinals crew for a pregame tailgate. I'll probably be out there. It's on the west side, so I don't have much of an excuse to not be out there. But check out Chicken and Pickle in Glendale. It's an amazing facility. It's gigantic. We're going to be having a great time before the Cardinals take on the Green Bay Packers. We'll be out there at 11 a.m., so make sure to join us. We'll be doing PHNX merch giveaways, yard games, drink specials, and stump the mayor. I don't know. I'm not very good at trivia, but you can come try to stump me, and it'll probably work. But go to gophnx.com/events to RSVP for absolutely free. That way we can just get a head count on how much space we're going to need. So make sure to join us for that. Speaking of managerial firings, yes, there have been a lot across Major League Baseball. And I think the one thing that a lot of people that were maybe pro Torey Lovullo being fired, being relieved of his duties, is the fact that when you look at some of the other managers that were fired, it's a little peculiar, right? Like Bruce Bochy, who managed the Rangers, he was mutually dismissed, whatever you want to say that is. They decided to amicably split up. But he was offered a front office role to remain with Texas in like an advisory capacity. Meanwhile, Rocco Baldelli was fired by the Twins. This is weird because he was fired by the Twins after they decided to pick up his option for 2026. Wild situation also considering the way that they gutted that team at the trade deadline. Bob Melvin, fired by the Giants. Also, after the Giants picked up his option for 2026. So teams did not seem to give a damn about picking up the options and then firing these guys. They were all out of dams to give. Bruce Bochy again. And then Angels, they were completely 100% out of dams to give. They fired not one, but two managers. They fired Ron Washington, who missed time this year, and then also Ray Montgomery, who was their interim manager. They fired both of them guys.
Who has it worse than the Angels, man?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I will say that you have the Clippers Lakers thing, right? Where you're the little brother in the same town. No one even thinks of you. Like, no one even calls you by your first name at high school. You're just, again, it's my big brother's birthday, so I went through this, especially because we look so much alike. I was just Scott's brother. People did not take the time to learn my name. It wasn't Derek. No, it was Scott's brother. Hey, it's Scott's brother. That's kind of what happens.
It's almost even worse, though. They almost introduce themselves as Scott's brother.
That's fine.
They're like, I'm Scott's brother. And they go, but what's your name? And they go, with
Scott's brother?
Scott's brother.
Yeah. No.
Like, they're like, you guys can be the Orange County Angels, right? Or the California Angels, like you used to be. No. Or the Anaheim Angels. And they're like, make us the LA Angels. Yeah. I told you about when I went to the game this summer and they were selling Ohtani murals.
Yes, I know.
In 2025.
Clearance that stuff out.
It wasn't clearance. It was like the forefront of the sale. It was like, hey, people, this is our most expensive item.
No, we can't do that. We got to move on. We got to move on fast. But speaking of moving on fast, we're all done. We thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back on, what is it? Tomorrow, Wednesday? We'll be back Wednesday with another 12 p.m. show. Make sure to join us for that. What we're going to talk about, I don't know. It's a surprise. It'll be a surprise to me, and it's a surprise to you. We'll all figure it out together. But make sure to join us for that. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. More importantly, follow Damon on Twitter so you can watch him get into fights with people. He's at Damon Dog with a DAWG. We're all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. Even when we disagree with him, we're still Damon's dogs. Our show's at PHNX_Dbacks, but as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're not stopping during the offseason, guys, or during the postseason. So I hope you guys continue to join us. And I thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for being here. We love you guys. We appreciate you being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, have a wonderful evening. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's also not so fun because the Dodgers ruined it.
We all silly like the mayor.